Hello, folks. Welcome. The webinar is going to be starting in just about a minute or so. So I'll give you a moment to join the call and get settled. If you haven't already done so, feel free to open up your chat panel so that you have a way to communicate with us and with each other. This is a friendly reminder that this session is being recorded today, and so that you can watch it on demand later as needed as well. So welcome to all of you who are joining. My name is Jody Johnson, and just in case this might be the first time you've joined one of these, it's possible that it could be. So my name is Jody, and I am your producer for your webinar today. And in just a moment, I'm going to pass things over to Shannon, and your content will come to you. But I do have to say, Shannon, I do have to say that this is probably my favorite topic. So I hope that everybody because this topic literally has changed my life. And so I'm excited for every person who is here today and who's going to get to watch this video. So let me do a real quick reminder of the things that you need to know for today. Again, the chat is available for you. You can chat with each other using everyone. Or if you need to communicate with us, the hosts or the panelists, you can do that. But if you have a specific, hi Janice, you have a specific question for Shannon about the content when she is teaching, we have enabled the Q&A feature. And so please use the Q&A feature just for questions for Shannon. And those are things that we kind of monitor throughout our whole program. And we do our best to answer those questions, not necessarily in the moment, but throughout the rest of the program. Okay, so that's what the Q&A feature is for. We do have a Spanish translator with us today, so please use that if you need to. We are improving every week on supporting our Spanish participants. And so this week, I don't even think I told Shannon, but this week we have also modified our survey so that it is in English and in Spanish. Okay, so we've got the chat, you've got the Q&A, we've got Spanish translators, and today is being recorded. That is all I have to say. Oh, wait, no, I have one more thing to say. Let's all find our reactions button down at the bottom of your Zoom window. And one of the things about webinars is that it feels a little quiet from the perspective of us. So we love it. Yes, somebody just gave me a heart. Show me that you can find your reactions. Thank you. So if you hear something that Shannon says that resonates with you and makes you go, oh, or wow, this is how you let us know. And this is how you can encourage Shannon that she is on the right track. So feel free at any time to use those reactions. Okay. All right. Enough from me. Shannon, I'm going to turn off my camera and pass it over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining today. As you can hear, I'm still struggling a little bit with that bronchitis. So my apologies if I have to stop and take a quick sip of water. I've got my Ricola here, just in case. But I just wanted to see if you've joined us before, how you showed up, scale of 1 to 5. How do you think you showed up today? I'm pretty excited. Like Jody, this has been a massive, I think, aha moment for me is when I learned about my beliefs and how my behaviors were really attached to my beliefs. And so this is going to be a really great conversation. Let's see what we've got coming in. Lots of 4s and 5s. Fantastic.
And just in case this is your first time here, 5 means you're like awesome, all in, yes, totally focused. 1 means, how did I get here? So if you're not 100% sure what the poll means because you haven't been here before, that's what Shannon's asking you.
Thank you so much, Jody. Goodness, I don't know what I would do without her. This is great. Okay, so we've got some wondering why they're here or how they got here, but that's all good. You know what? The reason why I asked that, it's usually twofold. So one is so that I can meet you where you're at. Listen, if I saw majority comes in at 1 and 2, that means I got to step it up like 10-fold. I've got to bring my full energy, my full positivity, and my ability to bring you into the conversation so that you can really have some aha moments and learning moments. If you come in at 4s and 5s, that also encourages me that you're all in and you're here. That's awesome. But more importantly, the reason why I asked that question is for you, actually. And that is so that you can really reflect on how you showed up In fact, when we really reflect on how we show up, we can actually change that, that we can move that marker. And so that's your invitation right now, is to let go of any competing priorities, let go of whatever is going on for the next, 55 minutes. Please be fully present. Really open up your mind to exploring our beliefs and behaviors and understanding how our mindset really does matter. I look forward to today. Let's chat. Apologies again on the cough. All right. So we are now on our 5th webinar. Can you believe it? And we're now going. So this is we need to differentiate this now. So we're going from what we were doing every week to now going into monthly webinars. So don't think next week we've got one. We don't. I'll be sharing with you when our next one is at the end of our webinar. But just know that we are going from weekly webinars to monthly. All right, so today what we're going to talk about is our mindset, our beliefs, our behaviors, how they're all tied in together. And so chances are you already have a very good indication that our mindset does matter. What we're going to talk specifically about is growth mindset, the power of growth mindset, maybe get a little bit more understanding about a fixed mindset, what that is. We're going to talk a little bit about the psychologist who actually coined that term so that we can put some real science behind what we're talking about. We're going to talk about the power of words and how we can change the narrative of our day when we speak positively to ourselves and to others. And we're also going to address lack of belief, what to do when we have it. I'm sure all of us have had lack of belief in one shape, one form or shape or another in our past. Sometimes we don't always feel as confident as what we could. Perhaps we don't necessarily think we have what it takes. And so what we want to do is really focus in on what Sean Anker has said in this quote. And he wrote a book, a fantastic book called The Happiness. What is it called? The Happiness. Goodness, Jody, help me out here.
Advantage, the happiness advantage.
Thank you. The happiness advantage. And really, the more you believe in your own ability to succeed, the more likely you will. And there's a lot of science behind that. So let's talk a little bit about why mindset really does matter. So whether or not you come in and say, well, does it really matter? Will it really affect my day? Will it really affect my business? Will it really affect my life? Well, the answer is absolutely yes. Certainly that's what we agree with here at TAP. The way that we think about ourselves and our beliefs, and we'll talk about beliefs in just a second, can actually make an impact on our success and how we live our lives. So if we believe that we don't have what it takes, guess what? Chances are we may not be able to tap into what it takes to be successful in whatever it is that we're trying to achieve. If we constantly are expecting to be let down by others, if we don't believe the best in other people, then chances are that's what we'll notice. That's what we'll be drawn to. We'll be drawn to other people that are going to really confirm that belief. Oftentimes when we have those beliefs, we actually look to confirm them. And so, but if we can really believe in ourselves, in our abilities, in our opportunities that are in front of us, then that is a way in which we can really, truly tap into the confidence that will help us boost ourselves forward. So I've got a question for you now, and we're going to use the chat. We're going to do our very best to kind of see what's happening in the chat. I'm going to open up my chat box. And I want to hear from you. If you have the ability to tap in the chat, I'd like to hear from you. What do you think some of the signs are that you have the mindset of a growing Healy member? What do you think are some of those signs that your mind is growing and that you have a positive mindset? Let's see what shows up. Just waiting for some of you to think about some of them. Deal with stress better? Sure. Maybe I'll show you a couple. What do you think? What do you think about this? Okay, wake up with happy thoughts. Enthusiastic. Oh, they're coming in fast and furious now. Okay. Enthusiastic about using my Healy and sharing. Continue sharing regardless of the rejection, for sure. What about gratitude? Hey, I'm open to learning new ideas and stretching my limits. Continue sharing regardless of the rejection. Yeah, definitely. What about being solution driven? So we'll wait for some of those Spanish translations to come in from Teresa. Love it. I have energy to keep working on what I like, for sure. I'm going to put some up on the screen and you can follow some of them. Perhaps, we're showing more consistency. We're really hardworking. We're putting our efforts towards what we're passionate about. We're optimistic. We're collaborating with others. That's another really big one. Positive, leading the way. I love it. Yeah. We're dreaming. Oh, that's a big one. Be thankful at all times, having a winner's mindset. Oh, I love this. Listening to my inner intelligence more. That's awesome. Yeah. Helpfulness. Teresa, if we can get some of those translations through, that would be really fantastic. I just want to make sure that our Spanish members are feeling heard, like they have a voice. I look for possibilities instead of thinking just on what's wrong. I love it. I'll keep going with my list on the screen because there's a lot of them. Being open-minded, having a clear vision, dreaming big, staying focused, showing patience, being self-motivated. We're investing in ourselves. We're showing up at our webinars so that we can learn more. We're listening more. What else do we have? A learner's mindset. That's a big one. We're being flexible. We're being driven. We've got open communication with ourselves and others. We're showing some enthusiasm. We're building our confidence. Able to trust myself more. I love that. Awesome. Resilience is another big sign that we've got the mindset of a growing Healy member. Oh, I love this. Yeah, absolutely. Trustworthiness. And I love that Prism. I don't know if that's your real name, but I love it if it is. Prism Love. Look at that. Able to trust myself more. So it's not just about trusting others, but it's also about trusting ourselves. I love that. Being purposeful, positive, curious. These are all signs that we are absolutely, making sure that our mindset is in the right place. When we get the I don't, okay, so not getting down, all right. Prism, that is my real name. I love it. Prism Love, wow, that's fantastic. How about congruence? So congruence really means that your actions and your words are matching, right? So this is something that's really showing you're having belief in yourself, you're being intentional. Not only are you intentional with, what you're doing, but you're intentional with your time. You're being authentic, focused. You're enjoying your life. You're enjoying the journey. You're following up. You're not getting distracted. You're not getting discouraged, or even if you are, you're doing the work anyway. I love this. You're keeping your priorities straight. You're setting goals. You're planning forward, and you're taking action. Listen, and there's more, okay? Now, don't get overwhelmed by this list. Don't get overwhelmed by all of the things that we've seen in the webinar chat. And thank you for responding. Thank you for engaging in the conversation. Essentially, what we want to be doing is really thinking about, okay, so what is a sign that I have the right mindset? What is the sign that I'm actually going in the right direction and not in the wrong direction? And so what I want us to do now is I want us to learn a little bit about what it means to have a fixed mindset or growth mindset. Now, if you've ever heard those terms, I'd like you to give me a thumbs up in your reactions button. Have you ever heard about a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? Okay, we've got some people who are familiar with those. All right, awesome. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're going to learn a little bit more about what a fixed mindset and a growth mindset is. Okay, so someone with a fixed mindset is really someone who believes they're limited. They're limited by a few things. They're limited by their abilities, they're limited by their natural talents, and they're limited by their intelligence. Now, someone with a growth mindset believes that if these are here, have all these natural talents, I'm not necessarily like the highest IQ. However, if I put in the effort, then I can reach my full potential. That's a mindset. Okay. And we know, and I can tell you from experience from the clients that we work with on the day to day, that we've been working with many experts and many entrepreneurs, and that even though a growing business can be very challenging, folks who adopt, and I say adopt because I believe it's a choice, folks who adopt a growth mindset are able to meet the challenges that they face. Because what you think about yourself, what you think about the world, what you think about your Healy business, what you think about, the opportunities that are in front of you, plays a critical role in determining your ability to cope with those challenges. Because with someone with a fixed mindset tends to, because they think, well, it doesn't matter what effort I put in, they tend to give up easy. They are looking for approval from maybe some good people and maybe not so good people. They tend to lean into the negative a little bit more. Now, don't be discouraged. If you know that you have been operating from a fixed mindset, it's okay. It's okay, because guess what? You can change it. You can lean into a learner's and growth mindset with just a little bit of a mind shift. And so it's all right. What we do know, though, is people who tend to stay in a fixed mindset often have wasted potential. And that is not something that I want you, anyone that's in this call, to have. I don't want you to waste your potential, especially if you want to use it. I think I've told you this story before, that when I started my business, and if you saw me on in Orlando at our homecoming, I had said that one of my mentors said to me, Shannon, not everyone wants to tap into their potential. And I thought, well, okay, that is true. But if you're here, my gut reaction is, my feeling is that you actually do want to tap into that potential. So we're going to give you some secrets today about how to just do that, okay? When you are adopting a growth mindset, you are definitely more resilient. You are learning to love. Now, you may not have always been someone, oh, wow, sorry, I have a puppy who's wanting to be heard. All right. Love to learn is definitely leaning into being more positive. And these are the folks who not only want to tap into their potential, but they begin to realize that they have big potential. And from personal experience, I can almost tell you the day that I realized this about myself. And it was mind blowing. And it changed the whole narrative of how I was living my life. And I realized what I had to offer. And I realized how life was so short. And I really wanted to contribute in a meaningful way. And I wanted to make a difference. And when I really, truly stopped being limited by a fixed mindset and really leaned into a growth mindset, that's when I was able to change the narrative. And so if I can do it, you can do it too. I promise you. Listen, my story is no different than yours is. You have what it takes. Carol Dweck, as I told you, she's a PhD. She's one of the leading researchers, world's leading researchers, in fact, in the field of motivation. And she's a professor of psychology at Stanford. And she's done a ton of work. She's written a lot of research papers, done massive studies, published studies. And she's really focused in on why it is that some people succeed and some people don't. And she's really tried really hard to understand what is it that limits our ability, what gets in our way of our success. And so she coined these terms, fixed mindset and growth mindset, because she really wanted to simplify for people to really grasp and understand the underlying beliefs that people have about learning and their intelligence. And I love this quote because it really resonates with me, because I talk a lot about potential. And she says, I've always been deeply moved by outstanding achievement and really saddened by wasted potential. And that is something that resonates so much with me that, you know, I definitely got together with this group of amazing people who partnered with me to start TAP, because we really wanted people to understand that they had this amazing potential and there are ways in which you can tap into it. And so if you came to today's webinar and you came with that maybe fixed mindset or lack of confidence, or you struggle sometimes to believe that you have what it takes, I want you to know that there is a way around this. Now, it'll take some work for sure. And we're going to explore a little bit further about what that is and how you can go about it. But I do want you to know that you absolutely can be transformed. Like Jody said, when she really grasped onto this whole concept, and when I did as well, it changed our lives. And it changed us from going, you know, from, I won't speak on Jody's behalf, but I will speak on mine, living in a mediocre space to going into a high potential space, a big potential space. And so you have that potential too. So growth mindset, I want you to kind of really get familiar with it. I want you to lean into it. I want you to accept it. I want you to explore it. And I want you to pursue it. Okay, that's the big word here. I want you to pursue growth mindset. Okay, do you think you can do that? Reactions. Anyone here? So much that we've learned so far. Do you think that you can really lean into that? All right. So this is when you are going to really truly believe that intelligence is not fixed and that we can get smarter with effort. We understand that hard work matters and it makes us stronger. We can change our outcomes. You know, I have 4 children, okay? All of them very, very different. One with a learning disability, two who struggle with deep anxiety, and one who is a natural, intelligent, almost protege, okay? So it's really, really strange. Guess what? They all have potential and they have all learned. They just have to apply themselves in different ways, okay? So it doesn't matter if you went to school and you were that kid who could get 100 without studying. That's one of my kids. The other kids has to study for 5 hours and maybe they'll scrape by with 70. And it doesn't matter because their potential is still as great. And so I want you to remember that, okay? A fixed mindset believes that basic abilities, intelligence, and talents are fixed and they can't be changed. But we don't believe that because a growth mindset believes abilities and intelligence can be developed, all right? People respond and experience results when given the opportunity to develop a growth mindset. That is what we've learned with our clients, okay? So we want you to know at Healy that you can, if you are given the opportunity, if you lean in, if you want to learn, if you want to know more, if you want to do better, if you want to succeed, that just by effort, you can change that narrative. And so we want you to really focus in on that growth mindset and understand how important it is for you. And it's not just important for you, okay? It's also important for you and how you lead your team. It's important for you to understand and recognize, not just in yourself, but also in your team members. Maybe you have people who struggle with confidence. Get to know them a little bit, find out what's going on, encourage them, recognize them, show them that they can have a fix, or they can have a growth mindset as well. This is an area in which you can influence. We've talked about in the past already that you have this ability to influence. And so you can influence people just by recognizing that and helping them see that. Now, what I do want us to do for a couple of minutes is I want us to take a couple of minutes to understand if you can recognize whether you have that growth mindset or fixed mindset. So, because I think sometimes it can be intimidating. It can be maybe vulnerable to recognize if we have a fixed mindset. And I don't want you to sit in that space, because it's when you recognize where you're at is the only time you can change it. All right. So be encouraged. Don't sit there in negativity. Just understand that if you start to see, I'm going to show you some signs. And if you start to see, wow, that is me, it's okay, because you can change this narrative. Okay. A TAP, a Healy, we're partners, we're family. We want you to succeed. And that's why recognizing what kind of mindset you have is the first step. And it's also why it's the very first step in your getting started checklist, if you remember. So when we provided that, we said your mindset matters. You got to look at your mindset. And it's also something that you'll learn in a few weeks, a couple of months, in some other webinars when we talk about our daily activity plan. It is also in our daily activity plan to make sure that we're every single day checking our mindset. Because it's not like we always sit in this positive space, right? Sometimes we do wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Sometimes we wake up with bronchitis. Sometimes we wake up feeling overwhelmed with all the things that are going on in our lives. And it's about taking that moment like we did this morning and saying, I'm going to let go of all my competing priorities. I'm going to let go of maybe that fixed mindset. I'm going to let go of all of the things that are really stealing my joy. And I'm actually going to lean in, and I'm going to learn today, and I'm going to bring that amazing energy to my day so that I can really make a difference. So let's take a look at these signs. All right. Again, don't get discouraged. All I'm looking for you to do is recognize where you're at. But before I start to show you the signs, I am curious. How many of you think you know? How many of you think you know whether you have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? Thumbs up if you think you know. And then I'm going to ask you if you were right after we look at all of the signs. All right, so some of you, we've got 3. Anyone else? Some other people are tentative. Okay, we've got some more coming in. All right. Okay, cool. So we've got a few of us who are saying, I think I know. I'm pretty certain I know whether I have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Well, signs of a growth mindset believes that intelligence can be developed. You embrace challenges. You persist in the face of setbacks. You view effort as the path to mastery. You learn from criticism. That one's a hard one, hey? I actually prefer the word critical feedback, actually. You find lessons and inspirations in the success of others. That's an interesting one. You welcome challenges. You view setbacks and or failures as opportunities to learn and grow. Oops, I went one too fast. Okay, so we've got some signs of a growth mindset. If you were leaning into these and your answers are yes, then chances are you're already probably most often operating from a growth mindset. Let's take a look at fixed mindset. Do you believe that your intelligence can't change? Do you give up quickly? Do you avoid challenging work? Maybe you don't have the confidence or you think you won't be able to finish it. Do you feel threatened by the success of others? Now, this one is really interesting to me. Do you think that no matter how hard you try, it won't matter? Do you see constructive feedback as an attack on your ability? Do you take it personal? Do you believe that your success is because of your intelligence? Ooh, that's a big one. So maybe you are successful, but you give all the credit to the fact that you're just so smart. Interesting. Do you see those in your team who aren't as successful as incompetent? All right. So I told you I was going to ask a question. How many of you were right? Thumbs up that you kind of figured out what you were already. Not asking you what you were, but whether you figured it out. Okay. All right. So we've got a few of you who really had a good indication. Maybe you've done some work here already. Maybe some of the stuff that we were talking about already has really resonated with you. Okay. Well, that's really great. What I want us to do is really understand that you can change it. Okay. So it's really about where you put your focus. It's about changing your beliefs. It's about leaning in. It's about learning. It's about understanding that just because you believe something doesn't necessarily make it true. One of the things that I also wanted to bring up to you, and I think I actually mentioned it earlier, is there's an opportunity for you as a leader here. And that is that you can begin to, once you start to recognize it in yourself, whether you are fixed or growth, you can also recognize that in others. And you can help people who are struggling with a fixed mindset. And you can do that through recognition. You can build your team by praising them for any of these behaviors, any of the behaviors that show growth mindset. So things like effort, when people try something new, when they're making progress, even if it's just the smallest progress, if they're working really hard and you know that they're working hard, if they're being persistent, consistent, if they're rising to a challenge, if they make a mistake, but then get back up again, if they're asking for your feedback, wow, these are really great ways where you can encourage them to keep going. Okay. If you or your team are feeling intimidated, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling fearful or like you don't have enough knowledge, these are these like small changes that you can make to how you think, how you speak to others, and encouraging them to do the same. This is where you can actually change the culture of your team. This is a way in which you can be encouraging each other to build and grow, and then you will actually build a growth mindset within your own team, which can really make a difference to how you will meet those challenges and how you will actually reach those challenges. We want you to know that you can change your mind. There are ways in which you can do it. This is a really great way, and I'm going to give you some other ones in a couple of seconds. Using the power of I will, or yet, okay? So a fixed mindset generally comes out with, I can't do it. Ever said that before? I've said that before. So I know that I have had a fixed mindset. It's not like I always operate in a growth mindset. There are days, right? We all have those days. I don't know how to do it. I won't get it. I might as well quit. This is useless. And changing it, changing the narrative. Really, really small change in your language. So we said we were going to talk about the power of words. Here it is. Okay. How about I can't do it yet? How about I don't know how to do it yet? How about I will get it if I don't quit? These are small ways. And some other ways in which you can do it are acknowledging and embracing your imperfections. It's okay that you don't know the answer. It's okay if you don't do it perfectly. See those challenges as opportunities to learn. and try different learning tactics. If you can't learn it this way, try a different way. Replace the word with I failed with I've learned. That's a powerful one. Again, the power of words. Stop seeking approval. Value the process. Celebrate your growth with others. Reward your actions. See that critical or criticism or critical feedback as feedback, and a way in which you can change the narrative, a way in which you can learn. Okay, because we always say at the end, I'm like, please fill out our surveys, right? The reason why I ask that is because how on earth am I ever going to get better? How are Jody and I going to bring you what you need? How are we going to work with your Healy corporate team to make sure that we're bringing you stuff that's valuable, that is absolutely going to change your lives, going to change your businesses, if we don't get the feedback? We got to see feedback as an opportunity. And that's exactly what it is. All right. Some of the other things that you can do actually that will change your ability to be living or adopting a growth mindset will be developing grit. So, not giving up, right? Reflecting, taking that moment to notice, oh, shoot, I might be operating in a fixed mindset. It's okay. It's okay. That is when you can change it. If you don't recognize it, you can't change it. Okay. Take those small risks. Be okay to fail a little bit. Okay. Take ownership of your attitude. Take ownership of it. It's yours. It's nobody else's. It's yours. So you can adopt that growth mindset. You can have that life that you want. You just have to adopt it. But it comes from really taking or thinking realistically about the time and effort it might take. It's about being consistent. It's about recognizing when you're slipping back into that fixed mindset and going further and leaning further into taking ownership of your mindset so that you can shift it into a growth mindset. Is this resonating with anyone here? I don't know. Any thumbs up? Quietness. Quietness in the space. All right, so here's the thing. At TAP, we absolutely agree with Dr. Dweck. And no matter what your ability is, effort is what's going to ignite your ability and turn it into accomplishment. Now, we have done a fun little, and actually Jody helped me create this one. It's a fun little mantra. And we're going to, Eva's going to get this to you. And this is a way in which you can change the narrative waking up in the morning. Now, maybe you already do this. How many of you already do a mantra in the morning of that positive talking to yourself? Okay, so we've got a few of you who do. Thanks for that. Well, here are some ways in which you can really adopt that growth mindset and speak with powerful words to yourself, okay? You print this thing off, you put it on your mirror in the morning, and you say, today I will acknowledge and embrace my imperfections. I will view challenges as opportunities. I will try different learning tactics. I will replace the word fail with learn. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but we wanted to give this to you because this is a really powerful way in which you can be speaking powerful words to yourself every single day so that you can really lean into that growth mindset. Before I leave you for today, we've got about 20 minutes left. I did want to talk really specifically to those of you who lack belief. Now, this is a big one. And when you lack belief, this can really get in the way. It's what we like to call it to have an internal boulder. So something that comes from deep within. There's many different reasons why we believe the things we do, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But it can hold us back. And so we can be learning all of these things that I'm talking about, growth mindset and fixed mindset. But if we don't truly believe that we have the power to change it, then it can stop us in our tracks. So what do we do when we're lacking that belief? And this is what I want to leave you with. This is what I want you to act on in the coming month, over the time. I want you to reflect on all the other webinars that we've done together and all those really important conversations. And I want you to really lean into building up your belief. Do you believe that you have what it takes to reach your goals? Do you believe that you can build a sustainable business? Do you believe that you're worthy of success? Here's the thing. If you have questions and hesitations about your business, it's going to be really difficult to share it convincingly with others. To successfully share your business, you're going to really need to be able to passionately and confidently transfer that belief to others. You see, when people don't believe what they're selling, guess what happens? People don't believe you. They're not convinced. They don't pick up what you're laying down. And so, as much as words matter, belief matters more. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions. We're going to go through this. It's going to be a reflective exercise, okay? And you may have some yeses to these answers. Don't despair, okay? Don't despair. We've got some solutions for you, okay? But let's go through and see if we know if we lack some belief here, okay? Do you believe that others are better than you? Sit with that for a minute. I want you to answer these questions. Genuinely answer them. You don't have to answer them to me. Just want you to answer them to yourself. Do you believe you're generally unlucky? Do you believe you're broken or flawed in some way? Do you believe you're inadequate? Do you believe you're incapable of breaking a bad habit? Do you believe others are looking at you and judging you? Do you believe that you are worthless? Do you believe that you lack the talent you need to succeed? If any of those answers were yes, it can be really disheartening in the moment, okay, to realize that you may be dealing with negative self-beliefs. But I have some really good news for you. What you believe both consciously and subconsciously will directly impact your ability to succeed. However, just because you believe something doesn't make it true. Sit with that. So you believe any of those yeses? Just because you believe it does not make it true. Now, what it does do, though, is those false beliefs about yourself can be currently limiting you from reaching your full potential. But with that right information and help, you can absolutely overcome them. So let's talk about our Healy business. Let's talk about sharing Healy. Let's talk about our beliefs and why it matters, okay? That lack of belief can definitely get in the way, all right? So if you have a lack of belief in your Healy, in your device, all right, and how it works and what it does, you may not be necessarily using your Healy products. You might become hesitant. You might tell people about it. You might wear it. You know you're supposed to. But you might be hesitant. You might be embarrassed. You might not have that passion. You might not know, how to go about it. Perhaps you're not pursuing product education to understand it more. And that may all come from a lack of belief. Now, when it comes to building a business, so if you're here because you're building a business, maybe you feel uncomfortable approaching people because you're not quite sure. Now, we talked about, in our very first couple of webinars, and if you haven't seen them, you need to go back. Listen, if you were dealing with lack of belief in your Healy business, you absolutely must go back and rewatch some of those webinars that we did in the beginning, okay? So that's some homework for you. Go back and rewatch them. You may not be interested in attending events. You may not be inviting people to these webinars. Maybe when you come to a webinar, you want to say yes to your upline that you did it, but in fact, you're doing 3 different things while you're listening to, us go through this, through the content. Maybe you're not being fully present. You're being derailed. You're being, you're being distracted. This can all come from a lack of belief. But if you have a strong belief in your Healy, you are leaning into that love and passion. You become excited to share with others. You become actually really, really curious. And you don't wait for someone to tell you where to find the product info. You go on the hunt for it. You're like, I need to know more. I love this. I need to know more. And this is where it changes. So understand that your lack of belief can actually really affect, and you may say, well, why is it? I'm unlucky, or this doesn't work, or any of those things. You may be making those excuses, but it actually may come down to your lack of belief. So we're really going to encourage you, and we're going to tell you how to tackle it in a minute, okay? When it comes to your Healy business, you become really confident in approaching people. You get so excited and passionate about inviting people to webinars like this, to events that you have. You get really excited about telling people about the sense of community at Healy, the sense of family that you have, and negativity, it rolls off your back. That's what happened when belief changes. So if you've been dealing with a little lack of belief, like I said, don't despair. Don't despair. You can change it. And just because you don't, just because you believe something, don't believe something doesn't make it true. What we've got to do is lean into how do we tackle, that negative self-talk when we don't believe in ourselves, to get our belief in ourselves up. And then if we have lack of belief in our Healy or in our company or in, our network marketing business, how do we overcome them? Well, again, I said we had some good news, and this is what we're going to share with you. Okay. We believe that you can overcome any boulder. How many of you believe that? How many of you believe if you have the right tools and the right attitude and the right mindset, that you can overcome challenges? Let me see this. All right. Okay. Now, it means work, right? It means commitment. It means doing the work. So now this is what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to lean into it. Awareness is the first step. Okay. That is the first thing that you need to do, is say, okay, all right, I got to figure out what's going on with me. Maybe I'm operating from a fixed mindset. Maybe I have a lack of belief in myself. Maybe I haven't put in the effort to really understand my Healy and how it works, and how network marketing works and how this community works. And maybe I really do wonder if I have what it takes to build a business. It's okay. It's okay. Awareness is the first step. All right. What we're going to do now is we're going to discover that root cause. We're going to ask for help. We're going to educate ourselves. Second thing is, I don't want you to beat yourself up. This call should only be encouraging. Okay. Now, you might learn some things. You might have learned some things, and maybe in that moment that might have made you feel a little bit uncomfortable of, shoot, I might have been operating a fixed mindset. It's okay. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Don't get mad. Just be curious. Keep learning. Lean in, okay? And be patient. It's not going to all come overnight. Just because you've had an aha moment doesn't mean it all changes overnight. Don't compare yourself to others. Really not a great thing to do. Just be on your own journey. Be patient with yourself. Real change, not superficial change. So real change, real behavioral change, real belief change happens over a period of time. And sometimes that takes days. Sometimes that takes weeks, months, years. In fact, I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable with you. I had some core beliefs that were so toxic that it took me a decade to get through them, to understand them, and to believe in myself. So understand, it takes time. We're all unique. What I did was when I realized that I was holding on to beliefs that weren't true. I started to let go of them. I worked on it. I was patient. I stopped beating myself up and I leaned in. And don't give up. That's the last one. That's the most important one. Okay. So just because it's hard, just because you go back to bad habits, just because you find yourself slipping back into that fixed mindset or that negative mindset again, it's okay. Wake up the next day, start over again. It's all good. It's all good. This is how we make lasting change, folks. This is how we change a trajectory. I think my bronchitis is getting in the way of my ability to speak. Yeah, let's use that as an excuse, right? So how do we tackle lack of belief? Well, there's three kind of areas where I think are really, really helpful. We know that false or negative core beliefs are not always easy to uncover, especially because we know that often they've been around for a long time. But if you are dealing with that kind of negative mental chatter, there's a good chance that maybe you got some wonky beliefs that you might need to deal with. And so we want you to kind of lean into three things. We want you to think about helping yourself, okay? We want you to think about professional support. We want you to think about creating that community of accountability. And in all honesty, if you have access to all three, take them all. Take them all. Listen, negative core beliefs can be a difficult one to get through. And so we want you to get as much help as you possibly can and surround yourself with positive people, surround yourself with the ways in which you can really overcome them, okay? Sometimes we have to recognize that it's taken us years to have core beliefs about ourselves, so it might take a long time for us to get rid of them, all right? But listen, access, okay, simple things, okay? These are simple things, but they are life-changing. Self-help articles, webinars like today, blogs, books, online courses, all of them. You have access to so much education. Just make sure it's reputable, okay? So that's the one thing that we really, really encourage at TAP, is to make sure that the stuff that you are filling yourselves up with is good and it is credible and it is true, okay? Self-help does have some limits though, so we want to acknowledge that, because sometimes we have to understand that there are some underlying factors, and honestly, our belief systems are pretty complex. They're not simple structures. They are very complex, and so this can be really tricky to do on your own. So this is where we say, listen, if you're dealing with some of those negative things, listen, when you're dealing with internal boulders, sometimes you can work with a coach. You can work with a therapist. You can work with a mentor. These are great ways where you can actually help uncover blind spots. I always say that one of the most incredible benefits of having a coach is that they actually help you see your biases and they help you uncover blind spots. They ask you such curious questions and such questions that allow you to see things from a different perspective. And this can really be helpful. Some of them you can get for free, some of them you can pay for. I'm not asking you to do either or. I'm just saying, consider finding a coach, consider finding someone that you can talk to that can help you uncover some of those blind spots. And then finding a sense of community. And this is where our Healy family comes into play. This is where our own individual teams, our downlines, our uplines, our crosslines, we can be there for each other. We can be connecting with each other who are maybe dealing with similar issues. We're surrounding ourselves with people who have overcome some of the same boulders or obstacles that we have. Perhaps we've heard someone tell a story and we really resonate with it. Connect with them. Connect with your Healy family. Find a community of support so that you can tackle these things that get in the way of your success. Folks, as always, it is my absolute pleasure. I get so excited. I hope you can feel my energy and my genuine excitement to share these things with you, because I know that it changes lives. it changes businesses. And I am so humbled to be here to facilitate this important conversation. I appreciate each one of you. I want to remind you of a couple of things, okay? We've got some upcoming webinars that are coming up, all right? So next month, we're going to explore networking. And when it comes to networking, we're going to talk about exploring quality connections and what does a quality connection look like. And we even have something really cool called the quality connection funnel, which we're going to share with you. So that's going to be really fun. It'll be a great, really business focused, networking focused conversation. So we really encourage you to be there, invite your team members, invite your cross lines, invite your downlines. It's something you don't want to miss. It'll be our 5th. Wow. Well, we're just piling through this stuff. It's fantastic. And so, of course, as always, we've got a list of the webinars that are coming up. If you see something here, by all means, take a snippet, take a snapshot of this so that you know what's coming up and the dates. Make sure that they're in your calendars. And if you are one of the lucky ones and you are really charging forward, you're leading teams, and you get one of those special invitations to the leader call next month on the 15th of August, we will be exploring onboarding. And we're going to talk really specifically about onboarding your team. So I know that we had a webinar on onboarding, but this is very, very specific to a growing team and how to onboard them and then teach them to do the same thing. Okay. So this is really, really key to that growing team. So if you are a leader, make sure that you are looking for that special invitation to join us for that. And what can I say? It has been my pleasure as usual. I'm going to go off sharing my screen so I can see. Stop share. There we go. And I want to thank you for everything. I want to encourage you now. Last week, we were told that the Spanish folks don't like doing surveys. Well, just so you know, they are anonymous. Okay. We have no idea who's putting them in. Please, please give us that feedback. We want these calls to be incredible. We want you to walk away going, that is the best webinar I have ever attended. We want to be that for you. We want to be that support for you, but we need your help. Please give us the focus we need to, or the areas of focus we need to improve on, the things we need to get better at. Absolutely. Hope you have a fabulous week. Thank you so much for joining us.
And let me just verbally say it, I've put it in the chat, but to access the Spanish, you just click on the link that's in the chat. And then in the top right hand corner of the survey, you'll see the word English, and you can drop that down and change it to Spanish. Okay, so it's just as simple as that. I always love it if somebody could go in there right now and just check it, make sure it's working okay, because every once in a blue moon, Microsoft Forms gets a little grouchy. And so if somebody could just click on the link and say, yes, it's working for us, that would be just super helpful. And as soon as we get the okay on that, I will go ahead and stop the recording. Oh, it's working. Thank you, Alba. Appreciate that very much. So if we're all finished for the day, I'm going to go ahead. You know what? Let me one more quick time. I will put in the link to where you can find your recordings. So if you haven't had a chance to see the other 4 webinars that have already been done, this is where you can access the playlist, which also has some of the worksheets, action sheets, the things that Shannon is creating. And so what you're going to see today, those mantras will end up in there as well once they're put in. And I think that's everything. So thanks again for your time. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. Shannon, we can probably stick around for a couple of minutes because we still have a couple of minutes remaining. If you have any questions, you can put them into chat for us.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.